You've seen it before. Your dog is fast asleep, but its paws begin to twitch, its whiskers tremble, and a soft, muffled bark escapes its lips. It looks for all the world like it's chasing a phantom rabbit through a field that exists only in its mind. We watch, and we smile, and we say, "Look, he's dreaming." But is he? What is really happening inside the mind of a sleeping animal? This question is more profound than it seems. It isn't just about our pets. It's a question about consciousness, about the inner lives of the billions of other species with whom we share this planet. For centuries, humanity has drawn a hard line between us and them, often on the basis of our complex inner world, our thoughts, our feelings, our dreams. But what if that line is far more blurry than we've ever imagined? To understand this, we first have to confront the central challenge. We can't just ask them. An animal can't wake up and describe a bizarre narrative about showing up to a pack hunt without any fur. This is the classic philosophical problem of other minds. We can only infer another's internal experience by observing their behavior and their biology. For a long time, this led many in science to a position of extreme skepticism. The prevailing view was that animals were essentially biological machines, responding to stimuli like hunger, fear, and instinct, but with no rich, subjective experience to go along with it. A twitching dog wasn't dreaming. Its neurons were just firing randomly. But as our tools for observing the brain became more sophisticated, the evidence began to suggest a different story. And to follow that evidence, we first need to be clear about what we mean by dreaming. In humans, our most vivid, story-like dreams happen during a very specific phase of sleep called REM, which stands for rapid eye movement. If you were to watch someone in REM sleep, you'd see their eyes darting back and forth beneath their closed lids. If you were to measure their brain activity, it would look almost identical to their brain activity when they are awake and alert. But if you were to check their body, you'd find that all of their voluntary muscles are temporarily paralyzed, a condition called atonia. Essentially, during REM sleep, your mind is wide awake, but your body is locked down. This is a brilliant evolutionary safety feature. It prevents you from physically acting out your dream of flying off a cliff or fighting a swarm of bees. So, the first step in looking for animal dreams was simple. Do other animals even have REM sleep? It turns out they do. Almost all mammals, from mice to elephants, exhibit the same key characteristics: the rapid eye movements, the awake-like brain activity, and the temporary muscle paralysis. This discovery alone was tantalizing. If animals have the same neurological stage of sleep where humans experience our most intense dreams, it's a strong hint that something similar might be happening in their brains too. But a hint wasn't enough. Science needed more direct evidence. And it came from a series of groundbreaking and somewhat unsettling experiments conducted in the 1960s by a French neuroscientist named Michel Jouvet. Jouvet was fascinated by REM sleep and its accompanying paralysis. He hypothesized that a tiny region in the brainstem, called the pons, was responsible for sending the paralyzed signal to the rest of the body. He tested this hypothesis on cats. By creating precise lesions in this specific part of the pons, he managed to disable the paralysis mechanism without otherwise disturbing the cat's sleep cycle. The cats could still fall asleep and enter the REM stage. Their brains still showed the signature of an alert mind, and their eyes still darted back and forth. But their bodies were no longer locked down. And what happened next was astonishing. As the cats entered REM sleep, they would get up. They would move around the lab, but they were not awake. Their eyes were closed. They were, for all intents and purposes, acting out their dreams. They would arch their backs, stalk invisible prey, and pounce on imaginary mice. Some would even engage in aggressive attack behaviors or fearful escape maneuvers, all while remaining soundly asleep. This was the first ever behavioral evidence of complex dream content in a non-human animal. The cats weren't just twitching, they were performing elaborate, sequential behaviors that were clearly drawn from their waking lives. In short, they appeared to be hunting in their sleep. Jouvet had, in a way, opened a window into the feline dream world. For decades, this was the most compelling evidence we had. But in the early 2000s, technology gave us an even deeper look, moving from outward behavior to the very language of the brain itself. Scientists at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology were studying the brains of rats. Specifically, they were looking at a part of the brain called the hippocampus, which is crucial for navigation and memory. Imagine a group of neurons in the hippocampus called place cells. Each place cell fires only when the rat is in a specific, corresponding location in its environment. As a rat runs through a maze, A distinct sequence of these place cells fires, creating a unique neural signature, a brain map, for that particular journey. The MIT researchers trained rats to run a circular maze to get a food reward. All the while, they used sophisticated electrodes to record the precise firing sequence of dozens of place cells as the rats navigated the track. They established a clear, repeatable neural pattern for running the maze. Then came the truly fascinating part. The scientists continued to monitor the rats' brains as they settled down to sleep. They waited. As the rats drifted into REM sleep, something incredible happened on the monitors. The neurons began to fire. And it wasn't a random pattern. The brain was replaying the exact same sequence of place cell firings that it had produced while the rat was running the maze. The neural signature was a perfect match. The rats were, in a very real sense, rerunning the maze in their minds. Even more, the neural replay was often sped up, as if the brain were consolidating the memory of the route in fast forward. This was more than just twitching paws. This was objective, measurable evidence of the brain re-experiencing a specific, complex event from its waking life during sleep. If the rat could tell us what that felt like, it would almost certainly describe it as a dream of running the maze. So, we have cats hunting in their sleep and rats running mazes in their heads. The evidence for dreaming in mammals is strong. But what about the rest of the animal kingdom? Evolution has produced an incredible diversity of minds. Let's look at birds. Bird brains are vastly different from mammal brains in structure, yet they evolve some remarkably similar abilities, including complex vocalization. Many songbirds, like the zebrafinch, have to learn their species-specific, intricate song from an older tutor. It's a difficult motor skill, much like a human learning to play the violin, and evidence suggests that a crucial part of this learning happens while they sleep. Scientists recording the brains of sleeping zebrafinches found that the same neurons involved in producing the song during the day were firing again at night. The birds were silently practicing their songs in their dreams, refining the melody, and consolidating the muscle memory required to perform it perfectly when they awoke. But what if we go even further back on the evolutionary tree? What about reptiles? For a long time, it was thought they didn't have REM sleep at all. But recent studies on animals like the Australian bearded dragon suggest they experience a form of sleep that has some REM-like characteristics, hinting that the origins of dreaming might be far more ancient than we thought, possibly dating back to our last common ancestor over 300 million years ago. And then, there are the creatures that seem almost alien to us, whose minds evolved on a completely separate path, the invertebrates. Consider the octopus. With a large, complex brain and a nervous system distributed throughout its arms, it is arguably the most intelligent of all invertebrates. And recently, scientists have observed something extraordinary. Sleeping octopuses have been recorded cycling through dramatic, rapid changes in their skin color and texture. An octopus might be sleeping soundly, a pale, uniform color, when suddenly it will flash dark, its skin will pucker into a complex, mottled pattern, and its arms will tense. Then, just as quickly, it will go smooth and pale again. The researchers observing this speculate that the octopus is reliving a waking event. Perhaps the dark, mottled pattern is the camouflage it used while stalking a crab, followed by the explosive, dynamic pattern of the hunt itself. It's impossible to be certain, but it's a stunning visual display of a shifting internal state during sleep. We may be watching an octopus dream, its story written not in words or actions, but in a symphony of color across its skin. So, what does this all mean? The evidence, from cats and rats to birds and even octopuses, strongly suggests that we are not alone in our dream worlds. The ability to create these internal simulations during sleep seems to be a widespread tool in nature's cognitive toolkit. This leads to the ultimate question: why? Evolution is famously practical. It wouldn't spend so much energy on such a complex process unless it provided a serious survival advantage. For the rat, dreaming of the maze helps consolidate the memory of the fastest route to food. For the songbird, it's essential for learning a skill vital for attracting a mate. For the cat, it might be a way to practice hunting skills in a safe environment. For a prey species, it could be a threat simulation theater. Dreaming of being chased by a predator allows the brain to rehearse escape routes and reaction times, potentially making the animal a fraction of a second faster when it counts. In short, dreaming isn't just a quirky byproduct of sleep. It is a critical mechanism for learning, memory consolidation, and survival. Ultimately, the twitching paw of a sleeping dog is more than just a cute curiosity. It is a quiet, profound invitation. It invites us to look past the outward differences of fur, feathers, and scales, and to consider the possibility of a shared inner experience. The evidence suggests that the night is filled with not just our dreams, but with a chorus of minds replaying their day, practicing their skills, and navigating virtual worlds. The capacity for a private, subjective reality, a consciousness that can detach from the world and create its own, may not be the exclusive province of humanity, but a gift that evolution has bestowed upon countless species. And recognizing this doesn't diminish our own experience, it enriches it, connecting our inner life to the vast, silent, and dreaming tapestry of life on Earth. If this sparked your curiosity, subscribe for more explorations into the shared tapestry of life.